A very good evening to you and welcome. It's Tuesday, 24th September 2024. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, election observers worry over lack of preparation for Rivers local government election. Lawyers divided over APC's Okocha's legal right to stop Rivers local government election. Federal government to begin implementation of new minimum wage. On the foreign scene, police in Switzerland arrest several persons over death of a woman in suicide pod. I am Constance Irele Mega. The news will bring you the details after this commercial break. Just stay tuned. Organizations have expressed concern over what they call a lack of preparedness by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission (RISEC) to educate and sensitize voters ahead of the 5th October local government election. In an interview with correspondent Swebu Ruwari, coordinator of the Transition Monitoring Group in Rivers State, Nathaniel Akbos, said RISEC is not doing enough.
The sensitization and awareness for this election that it is not what it ought to be. We rather have more information about political parties who are not going to participate. We rather have more information of political parties who are loggerheads. We rather have more information on conflicts spread across the various local governments on if they are going to participate in this election or not. But however, we encourage them to, as they go into this election, follow the rule of law.
Well, Mr. Akbos advised RISEC to do all within its powers not to disappoint the electorate.
We hope that RISEC is doing what they need to do. We hope that RISEC is following the rule of law. A proper election is conducted amongst those who are supposed to participate and contest the election. If the people want to come out and vote, let their vote count. Since they are going on this way, we encourage them to make the election to more credible, to give voters, citizens, people who want to vote, the appropriate opportunity to cast their vote, and their vote, most importantly, should count.
Now, on his part, the Program and Communications Director of Social Action, Peter Mazi, urged RISEC to increase their awareness campaign.
The sensitization and awareness for this election that it is not what it ought to be. We rather have more.
So I'm really very concerned about Rivers State has always been a flashpoint when it comes to electoral violence. And so they're concerned, even when we don't have the kind of tense climate that we have now. And so we are very, very concerned. We have seen flashes of insecurity leading to this election. If the foot of this election is going to be detrimental to the local government and also the people at the grassroots. So it behoves on the security apparatus of the state police, DSS, and everyone who can provide the kind of security and create an enable environment for people to vote. It's just of them to do what they should do.
Mazi also raised concerns about security during the election. Also, a political scientist at the University of Port Harcourt, Obinna Nwodim, believes that voters and some political parties are not fully informed ahead of the election because RISEC is keeping its activities secret.
We have few days to the election, and there is no level of conscientization, enlightenment, sensitization of the electorate. I don't know who the candidates are. I don't even know the parties that are fielding candidates. Elections at the grassroots level should be as important as anything because we are giving our lives to certain persons to bear rule and take charge on our behalf. All we keep hearing is that there are some remote elections going here and there.
Dr. Nwodim warned of likely voter apathy on the election day. In another development, a Lagos-based political analyst, Liberos Oshoma, says APC's Tony Okocha has no legal right to stop RISEC from conducting the local government elections in Rivers State following the High Court judgment which invalidated his appointment as the party's caretaker committee or caretaker chairman. We'll recall that yesterday, Mr. Okocha insisted that the APC in Rivers State will not participate in the 5th October local government election. In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Oshoma said until Mr. Okocha secures a stay of execution against the judgment which sacked him, he cannot parade himself as the authentic APC chairman, despite the backing of the National Working Committee of the party.
They are these boys to come.
It might be a case of who is the authentic chairman, so let the two of them slug it out. The order that Tony Okocha also got, where he got an order restraining the state, the case will also apply to join in that case. If they apply for stay of execution and the court refuses, that state can go ahead to conduct the election. And if state goes ahead to conduct the election, it becomes an academic exercise for the Court of Appeal until a stay of execution is granted. Tony Okocha cannot parade himself as chairman. If the judgment is a declaratory judgment, he cannot stay it. He can only apply for an injunction pending appeal.
But Mr. Oshoma spoke further on the order of the Abuja High Court involving Tony Okocha.
When a court grants an order, for example, the order is an order. Another court now says that after the time that order was given, were you a chairman? If you were a chairman after the time the order was given, that's what we call presumption in law. So the court gave that order on the presumption that everything was done legally to see how the court will look at all the gamut of the issues that will present before them and take decisions one way or the other. The court might look at it and say, well, if this is a subsisting judgment that have vacated you from office, then in the eyes of the law, you longer.
On his part, a Port Harcourt-based lawyer, Vincent Chukwu, believes that the State High Court judgment against Mr. Okocha has outrightly taken away his legal right to continue with the Abuja High Court matter.
You see, what subsists is the judgment of the day. Tony Okocha has been pronounced as not possessing that capacity or not to act as chairman or parade himself as such. He is now struggling to now restore himself back. A court has determined the status of Tony Okocha. That order is an order made in deception of the court, and therefore that capacity upon which that order is made, having abated, it even freezes that order. Then there can be no, it cannot be said that there is any order against RISEC not to hold the election.
However, another lawyer, an APC member in Rivers State, Achinike Williams Wobodo, has a different opinion.
Now, if Tony Okocha goes to court in the name of APC and he is no longer the chairman, so to speak, then the case still subsists. It's APC that has got the case, not Tony Okocha, not Emeka Beke. So until APC says we are no longer pursuing the case, then that is when the case is. Emeka Beke has only one option to say, I will not go to court to stand to appear for ABC as far as this. If you look at all the documents now proceeding out of RISEC, you will just see under his time management. So who is management? Management is nobody without a name. That's the law.
Well, recall that Tony Okocha's committee secured a restraining order from an Abuja High Court, stopping INEC from releasing the voters' register to the River State Independent Electoral Commission. Also, Justice Sika Apreku of the River State High Court sacked the Tony Okocha-led APC committee in a perpetual injunction against him and the committee members, a judgment Mr. Okocha said he has appealed. Moving on, River State Commissioner for Information, Joe Johnson, has defended the timing for the setting up of the 9-man Flood Prevention and Management Committee by the state government. But speaking with our correspondent, Mr. Johnson said the committee was set during the last executive meeting, but only met for the first time yesterday.
This committee was put together at the last ESCO. It was just that we had our inaugural meeting yesterday, otherwise in there. And don't also forget that there were standing committees across the LGAs. Last year, I served in the Okogun-Koro LGA as a member of the Flood Prevention and Management Committee. I was a member, if you go and look at the records. So that committee, up till now that we speak, I'm still a member in Okogun-Koro. So it's more like a standing committee.
Well, the Information Commissioner also spoke on the duties of the committee.
Provide necessary assistance to those who may be affected by the flood, which has already begun to encroach upon the coastal areas of River State. There are 18 local governments that are impacted, and we're inviting those chairmen to put them on their toes so that they'll be on the watch out, and then they will communicate to this committee the situation in their various LGS.
Well, the Flood Prevention and Management Committee is headed by the Deputy Governor, and they are expected to meet with Caretaker Committee Chairman of the 18 local government areas that are prone to flooding this Friday. Meanwhile, flood-prone communities in River State have been urged to start stockpiling relief materials, making provisions for safe drinking water, and preparing for possible relocation to higher ground. Well, this call was made by the South-South Zonal Coordinator for the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Adebiyi Razak, during an interview with our correspondent. Mr. Razak said adopting proactive measures to mitigate the effects of flooding will reduce its impact. Well, as you may know, some of the high-risk local government areas identified include Ogba, Egbema, Ndoni, Degema, and Aoda East and West. Well, NEMA had earlier warned that 13 local government areas in River State will be flooded. Still to come, federal government announces dates to begin implementation of new minimum wage. Stay tuned.
The news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Thanks for staying with us. And now to the rest of the news. The leadership of the CDC in Ogurama community, Digima local government area of Rivers State, is accusing a former commissioner for energy, Damiete Herbert Miller, of usurping the powers of the community leadership in the ongoing phase 2 of the Trans-Calabari Road project, which passes through the community. The Ogurama CDC chairman, Joseph Brown, in a statement, accused Mr. Herbert Miller of stopping the contracting firm, Lubric Construction, from interfacing with the community, replacing the name of the CLO appointed by the king with one young Benibo, giving employment slots to himself without recourse to the community, seizing the certificates of the youths and CDC, and stopping the inauguration of the CDC, among others. Mr. Brown called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara to call Mr. Herbert Miller to order because if his alleged activities are not stopped, there could be a breach of peace and frustrate the Trans-Calabari Road project. While responding to the allegations, the former Commissioner for Energy, Damiete Herbert Miller, said he is not a staff or a contractor of Lubric Construction Company and urged those who are aggrieved to channel their complaints appropriately. Moving on now, as the post-unified tertiary matriculation examination UTME begins, candidates at the University of Port Harcourt have commended the institution for ensuring that their systems are functioning properly. In an interview with our correspondent, some of the candidates said they did not experience any technical issues in their centers. Others complained of the delays experienced before the start of the exams.
I'm here to write my post-UTME. The exam has already kicked off since yesterday. Our exam is supposed to start by 9 o'clock. Up to now, we are still here under the scorching sun. Especially my department, Theatre Arts. They haven't even called any of us. As I'm even speaking, I'm already exhausted, like the sun on my head. I can't even think well. I'm hungry. They will just turn us to like go this way or go the other way. Form a line. We'll form a line. They say no. Form another line. So I don't even know what is going on.
I'm supposed to write 9 o'clock, but I'm still outside waiting. The delay is just that farmers they are still writing, so we are still waiting for them. When they are done, that's when journalism will start. So don't know the time it will start.
We have been here since 9 o'clock, but we've not still gone inside. We are too many. Like yesterday, some of us came back by 8 o'clock in the night.
The federal government is set to implement the new minimum wage. It also approved the revision of the salary structure for lecturers, doctors, military and other civil servants. A statement signed by the head, Information and Public Relations in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Eno Olotu, said the committee agreed that the implementation of the new minimum wage will be backdated to start from 29th July 2024. The news continues after this break. Stay tuned. Police in Switzerland have made multiple arrests after someone reportedly ended her life using a so-called suicide pod, the first case of its kind. Well, police in the Schaffhausen region said the arrested persons were based on suspicion of inciting and aiding and abetting suicide. Well, assisted dying is legally protected in some circumstances in Switzerland. And that's the news this evening. But before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. On the news this evening, you heard that election observers, they are worried over the lack of adequate preparation for the 5th October local government election in Rivers State. Now, lawyers are divided over APC's Okocha's legal right to stop the 5th October local government election. The federal government said the implementation of the new minimum wage will be backdated to the 29th of July. On the foreign scene, police in Switzerland have arrested several persons over the death of a woman in a suicide pod. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Constance Irele Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.